Hi everyone, I'm Monica, one of the librarians at Brampton Library. Today for our Take and Make kit, we're going to be making woven bookmarks. Included in your kit, there was a piece of chipboard, 2 balls of yarn, a yarn needle, 2 popsicle sticks, and at home, you'll need to also have scissors and a writing utensil. So we're going to use the chipboard to be our loom. We're going to have to mark where we're going to cut the slots for our loom where our yarn will go in. If you have a ruler at home, feel free to use that. If not, you can use the popsicle sticks to measure. And then you can just add lines in between the lines you made using the popsicle stick. And then you'll want to do that on the other side as well, trying to match it up. Once you have your lines, you'll need to cut the slits. You don't want to cut it too short and you also don't want it to be too long. I find if it's just kind of as deep as your pinky finger, then that's not too bad, but it will still work either way. It's just a little easier when you have a little bit more space. And then just cut all the lines and try to make the length the same. But it's okay if it's a little bit off. It won't affect the project. And then you'll cut on the other side. I already made my cuts on another piece. Then you'll grab one of your balls of yarn. When you're making the bookmark, you can mostly see one color coming through, and that's the one that you do the weave with. So I would suggest if you have a favorite color between the 2 yarn balls or a color you prefer that your bookmark will be, save that for the next part, and the color that you don't care for as much, you can use for this part. So you'll start weaving your yarn through. You could pre-cut this ahead of time. I find that it's just easier to cut it after you've put it on the loom. So you'll just slide it through, and you probably want about 2 or 3 inches hanging off the back. So usually about a finger length is enough. And then you'll weave it through again. For this, we're just hooking it around the back and then coming through again. The chipboard does try to get closer as you do this, so try not to have too much tension that you're warping the chipboard. So this impacts the thickness, like the width of your bookmark. So you can do the whole thing if you want, but then it might be a bit of a chunkier bookmark, or you can just do a few. So once you feel like you have enough, do one more through. Make sure it ends up on the same side that you started from. Through. You want it to be about the same length. And then you've created your loom. So you can put that aside for now. You'll take your yarn needle and the yarn you want to use. For this one, you should measure it out ahead of time. You could do 3 arms lengths or 4 arms lengths. Sometimes I'll just do a little bit extra because it will be easier to cut off if I have too much. And if you don't have enough of this, the length of your bookmark will be impacted. So it will be a little bit shorter. So once you've measured that out, will thread it through the yarn needle. And then you'll want to tie 2 knots to secure it to the needle. There you go. And now the other end of the yarn, when you get to it, will get tied onto your loom. So bring back the loom, and you can grab your popsicle sticks and put them under. This is just to stabilize it. And you'll tie the other end of your yarn that's connected to your yarn needle to your loom. You can double knot this one as well. Okay. You just want to make sure that that's below the popsicle stick. All right. Perfect. So the technique for weaving, you're going to go over and under the lines, the loom that you created. So I'm just going under there. I'm going to go over, under the next one, over, under. You can weave it through, and then you're going to want to pull all your yarn through, and you're going to keep repeating that as you work your way down your loom. So you don't want to have too much tension when you're doing this, because then it will tighten your bookmark and it will get thinner. So when you're coming the other side, you can see for mine, I was under. So we're going to go over it now and under the next one over. You'll notice that when you're doing your next line, the first line that we did was over. So now I'm under. So, but it's always over and then under until you get to the end. And then you can pull it through. I found when I was doing this, sometimes the yarn gets tangled, so I try not to rush too much. And then when I'm pulling it through here, I'm just making sure to watch my tension so that I don't make it too tight. And then we can get started on the next line. If you accidentally weave it in the wrong direction, you'll be able to tell pretty much right away, because you'll start to see like this purple thread that I'm using, you'll see it start to come undone. And then you just keep doing your lines. You can do them closer together than I'm doing them. I just find it's a little easier to weave it through when I have space, and every so often I'll just push my design a little closer together so that it has a bit of a tighter weave. And you can push it together with your fingers. I find that it's actually quite easy to just push it up a little bit with your yarn needle. And then you can see it's getting. Another way to push your design tighter, I found, is the line that you've just done, just use it to push up a little bit. That's if you want to have a bit of a tighter weave, then you can do that every so often. All right, and you're just going to continue doing this as you work through your yarn. So depending on how much yarn you pulled, you might have some left over. So either you'll get to the end of the amount of this weaving yarn that you've selected, or you'll get kind of towards the end of the bookmark and then you'll know it's time to stop. So just keep doing that. And I have one I was working on the other day, and it's far from perfect, but that's okay. You there's quite a lot of yarn, so you can practice and get better. When you've gotten to the end, you should leave about 5 inches, which I don't think I left quite enough, and you're going to tie it off. So you can use the needle. It helps if you have a little bit more yarn than I do. Oh, but it looks like it's working anyways. So you'll just want to tie a knot and do a double knot just like we did at the beginnings. There's one. And there you go. Once you've knotted it, you can cut the needle. Should be my bottom. So now you can pull off the loops. You can use the popsicle stick to help you with that. And this part will become your tassels. So you can cut through to make them look like tassels. And you can cut the ends so that they're all even. And then you'll take the other loops off and you'll just gently pull on this end to pull those loops through. Just pull it through. You can just do this slowly to make sure that the one you want to be pulling is what's coming through. There we go. So I tightened it a little more than I wanted, but you can stretch it out if you think your weave is a little too tight. And then for the tassels, you'll just want to knot them together. Just give it a double knot. These that are side by side. Just give it a knot to secure it. All right, once those are all tied, you can cut your tassels so that they're all the same length. And then I'm just gonna cut that part down and do the same thing on this side. Just make sure not to cut off the knot. And if you want, you can cut these tassels in half, or you can split them if you want it to be a little bit fuller. You can split them up. And there you go. You have a bookmark. Mine's a little short, but if you use more of the yarn, you can make it longer. There we go.